call the names. Wake the room. Wake the room. Wake the room! Lou, Rex, Pam Ray, Naomi, Afasiana, Babbler, Monarch Soul, Jojo, Grey Eyes, fill my eyes. Poets assemble. No masks, no manners. Say it plain, or say it broken. Monday night in the garden of enlightenment. Low light lit minds, every line got intent. Clock ticks crooked and the room turns vigilant. Quiet so loud you can hear what the tension meant. Then it slips after midnight, manners get murdered. Nice little masks get cracked by a word or a murmur. Twisted Tuesdays twist truth till it turns on its heel. Clean cut faces go strange when the dark gets real. You can feel that shit, that slick little slip when the grin stays sweet, but the eyes don't sit. Like the room grew ribs, like the walls grew ears, like the hush got hands and it's pulling you near. And the words don't rest, they press. Put a heel on the chest, leave a dent in the breath. Every line like a knock from the back of the brain. Like you came in one shape, you won't leave the same. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft dough dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in the ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, Wednesday breaks, parts in the park, sink down the spine, half halo, half hazard, both hands in the light. In the yard, a seduction walks soft through the smoke. Silk on the tongue with the blade in the joke. Books and bards wakes dust in the depth of the shelves. Old ghosts lean out and start naming themselves in a craft in Sullen. Not the ache gets a voice, pain stands up straight and makes silence a choice. Then break on through when the devil gives way, when the masses sink but the pulse says pray. Echoes in the dark, go hunt the fear. That thing with no name starts ringing in your ear. Say it, say it. Fill my eyes with poetry, don't water it down. Let it bite, let it bloom, let it burn through the crowd. Bad company grins like a bruise, dressed smart. And rhythm and rhyme puts a boot through the heart. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft dome dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in the ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, some come shattered, some come slick. Some speak honey with a blade in it. Some sound velvet, some sound wire. Some walk in low and take the room higher. Some come holy, some come liars. That's the thing! This ain't filler for the dead space, no. This is a pulse with a pen, this is blood with an echo. This is breath to the backbone, ink for the crown. Live mics, live nerves, truth laid bare in the round. This is the beautiful mess, the bruise and the bloom. The line that cuts clean and makes a little room. Late souls, wide eyes, all nerve in the dark. A room full of hearts beating hard through the dark. Wake the room, wake the room. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft dome dim. clock slips past polite. We tell the truth. L&P, we love you. Stay frosty.
Hello and welcome to In Our Craft or Sullen Art, the multifaceted world of words inked. Here we will ponder and discuss poetry inspired by literary minds throughout history. I am Pam Ray, and with me is my co-host VS Jojo. Jojo and I are poets on a website called, I think I said that name wrong, sorry, TS Jojo or just Jojo. Jojo and I are poets on a website called All Poetry with a group of poets called Late Night Poets. Now, if you find that tonight's show is not your cup of tea, please check out our other shows. We have 1 to 2 shows per night on a variety of styles of topics and poetry, something to suit everybody's taste. Also, make sure when you get a chance to check out the poetry anthologies put out by Late Night Poets on Amazon, because when you purchase those, you not only get amazing poetry, you help support these radio shows. And hello, John. How's it going?
Hi, Pam. Yeah, it's going all right. Yeah, that's about all I can say. It's going well.
Well, there you go. There you go. Same day, same
Yeah.
stuff and all that.
We had
So,
some, I think like a lot of people, we had some weather move through here the last few days,
oh yeah, it's been
some
crazy.
rain and so forth. And I
Yep.
actually know people that, like lost their power and so forth. And so it was
My
actually
goodness.
pretty heavy. But it also left the place just so humid.
Oh, yeah. 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 Oh, I've been pretty fortunate up here. We like the area of Wisconsin I live in, it's just basically been hot,
Yeah.
which is uncomfortable, but it's not like, like huge storms or tornadoes. There was actually in the opposite side of Wisconsin that I live in, from where I live, there was a tornado that went through a town. And I have to admit, I did not even know about it until Aaron, who lives in Australia, messaged me and said, I hope everybody in this town in Wisconsin is okay. And I'm like, oh, didn't even know. Yeah, that shows you how much I pay attention, unless the tornado came through here, I probably wouldn't even notice.
Oh, you would notice. You would notice.
Yeah.
Did you see some
Yes,
of
yes,
the
definitely. Oh
did you
yeah,
see
I'm
some of the
sure.
photos? I mean, the photos were pretty staggering.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, the closest I've ever seen, we always get like warnings, but I've never actually seen a tornado. But I
Uh,
mean, I on TV, and I know if I went through one, I would know what it is. But have had definitely our fair share of bad weather, obviously, especially in winter.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, but. I have to say recently, yesterday I got outside for a little bit, but I was so glad to have a ride to the store because it was hot.
Yeah.
And today was an indoor day, had lots of poetry to read between the 2 shows tonight. Um, yep, yep. And, of course, as always, looking forward to hanging out with you and other cool poets. I know we have Yumpy hanging out in StreamYard. And so hello to Yumpy. And I see Phil the Poet listening on YouTube. So hello to Phil. Plus, I know we have at least one other listener on YouTube. So hello to them. And yeah, it was actually Phil that made the suggestion for tonight's topic, which is we are doing poetry inspired by quotes from Nikolai Gogol. And Nikolai Gogol, the thing I found odd was trying to find his exact birth date. And I ended up going with what Britannica.com says, because the thing is some resources said April 1st, some said March 31st. Now what Britannica.com says is that he was born March 19th, according to the old style of calendar, which translates to March 31st, which is according to what became the new style of calendar. He died February 21st in the what would have been the new, and March 4th in the old, and then the new March 4th. So it's still kind of confusing, but I guess it gives a little bit of more detail. He was born in Sorochinsky near Poltava, Ukraine. So he was a Ukrainian-born author, Ukrainian-born, which was at that time part of Russia.
Yeah.
And he was a novelist, short story writer, and dramatist. He was his father was a little bit of a poet. He never became as famous as Nikolai, but he was a minor poet and a playwright who wrote plays for the theater that he ran in the local town. His family was of minor nobility, with his father being a Cossack. And he let's see here. He actually became pretty much famous overnight with a lot of different, like a couple different Russian poets, such as Alexander Pushkin, really gave the word out. Basically, was a very big fan of Gogol's work, and so really gave him a lot of support and encouragement. His short stories include The Overcoat, The Nose, and Diary of a Madman. I actually listened. I have never physically read, but I did manage to fit in this last couple of weeks listening to those 3 short stories on YouTube. And his novel, one novel he wrote was Dead Souls, which is a satirical critique of Russian society through the story of a man buying deceased serfs' names to inflate his social standing. His plays include The Government Inspector, which lampooned corruption and social pretensions. And he wrote the historical romance Taras Bulba, celebrating Cossack heroism and Ukrainian culture. His style includes cosmic realism, satire, and the supernatural, influencing later Russian writers such as Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, and Turgenev. Oh my goodness gracious, my tongue just got twisted in a big old knot.
Yeah.
Trying to say 3 Russian names in a row.
Oh,
And
Russian? Well, okay, anyway. Yeah. Ukrainian?
And his use of defamiliarization allowed readers to perceive ordinary life in new, often unsettling ways.
Yeah.
He did get into his fair share of trouble. His mother had actually given him money, which he was not laundered. He didn't launder it. He did something, though. He basically used the money in a way. He embezzled his mother's money, the the money his mother had sent him for payment of the mortgage on her farm, and took a boat to German port of Lubeck. He also had a poem that he had written that was supposed to get published, and he disliked it so much he burned it. And from what I understand, it was a pretty long poem. So he definitely he was known for being the class clown, but I think, like many people of a creative bent, he definitely had his emotional troubles that he dealt with, and yet he somehow managed to always find bring humor and satire into his writing. So that's some of the different stuff that I've been, reading and learning about Nikolai Gogol, and definitely an interesting character. Great inspiration for poetry, that is for sure. And John, would you like to add anything in?
Yeah, two things. So one of my favorite things about Gogol is that he was so there's this incredible band. They're Ukrainian, and they're named Gogol Bordello. And if you haven't listened to them, you'll understand why they named themselves after Gogol. They have a lot of very similar style, let's say, especially with kind of the satire and the comedic humor, especially looking at serious things through sort of a comedic lens. They're just fantastic. And
I will definitely have to check that out.
The lead, the front man, his name is Eugene Hertz, and he said, this is a quote: Gogol was Ukrainian and not by any means Russian. Moscow loves to claim everything in sight as their own. I'm undoing that story. Ukrainians definitely see Gogol as Ukrainian and a major historical figure in their culture.
Yes.
The other thing is, I don't know if you ever saw this incredibly good TV series called A Young Doctor's Notebook with John Hamm and Daniel Radcliffe.
I have not. No.
Oh, it's extraordinary, and it is based upon one of Gogol's hugest influences was a writer named Mikhail Bulgakov, and Bulgakov was a doctor, and then later just said screw this and became a writer, but some of his writing, a lot of his writing actually kind of chronicled his time as a doctor, and he was a big influence on Gogol. And you'll know it if you ever watch A Young Doctor's Notebook. You'll see it instantly because it's just got because Bulgakov was such a big influence. Gogol adapted some of the same kind of comedic lens and so Daniel Radcliffe and John Hamm play Bulgakov right after he got out of medical school. He was sent out into a really remote area of I think Russia, but the two actors play the doctor at different parts of their careers. So Daniel Radcliffe is when he's fresh out of medical school, and then John Hamm plays him later in life. But because they're sort of like John, later in life, he's able to remember when he was younger. So they actually appear in a lot of scenes together, and they and like John Hamm will criticize Daniel Radcliffe, the younger doctor. There's this incredible interplay between these two identities, and it's absolutely, this is something that Gogol wrote about a lot, the sense of identity. And but it's brilliantly funny, and at the same time, there's just like amputations and treating people who are literally dying of syphilis. And so it's really intense and dark, but it's also really funny. And I think that is a very good example of sort of what influenced Gogol, like 100 years or 50 years later. It's an
Oh,
incredible
wow.
series, really worth
Yeah,
watching.
that does actually sound right up my alley. I'll have to check it out.
Oh, you would love it. You would
And
love it. Definitely.
awesome. Awesome. But yeah, we definitely have a great lineup of poetry for tonight, that I'm looking forward to delving into.
Let's do it.
And I will definitely have to check out both that band and that is it a television show or
It was I watched it when I was in Australia. I don't know. It's on a streaming service here, no doubt. I don't remember. I
oh,
think I
okay.
watched it on Stan in Australia, so it might be HBO. But
Oh,
I'm
I
not
might not be
sure.
able to watch it then.
Let me
Unless
look.
it's if I can find it on a free streaming service by this point, then definitely. Um,
Oh,
and I'll.
it's on Peacock and it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
So if
I
you
have
have either
Amazon
of
Prime,
those,
so I could watch it on there. Okay, cool.
yeah, it looks like Amazon Prime carries it. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get this ball rolling. I'm gonna put up the first poem and give it a read. All right. So the first poem we have up is It's Because Crazy Fits by Julie Buck. And it goes like this. I've been a bit mad all my life, a little cuckoo in my Cocoa Puffs. If things I say sound crazy, it's because crazy fits. I'm not a lunar maniac in order to have anyone doubt their own sanity or to be tentative trusting their own beliefs. I spew insane things because life is insane and wacky recognizes wacky. And normal never notices normal. That'd be normal. Perhaps normalcy is simply the control of one's own madness. Yeah, I'm a fool and bizarrely berserk, and you like it. Regular, you hears what I say, and you want to be nuts like me, but you can't. You gotta be born that way. End poem.
oh, um I think this I loved this. It's funny, but it's also kind of captures a serious part of life, which is that large parts of life are pretty crazy, and they only seem normal because we sort of pretend that they are. Um, so I like so the prompt for this was, however foolish be a madman's words, they may yet prove insufficient to sow doubt in the minds of saner individuals. So I think this captures one sort of the Gogol use of a comedic lens to examine an important or maybe darker theme. Uh, and the other thing that I like about it is, I lost my thought. Is the sense of fractured identity. So Julie is writing about somebody that is a little bit mad, but also able to pretend that they're normal or act like they're normal. So there's this split identity here of sort of the abnormal and the normal, which is very Gogol like, and I love it here. I'm not a lunar maniac, right? So I'm not somebody that gets crazy with like a full moon or something, right? I'm just a maniac. I mean, I'm just always a maniac, and so I love that, like the sense of the regular person here is a maniac. It doesn't just come out with the full moon. And the other thing is, I just love that couplet. And normal never notices normal. That'd be normal. I think that lands really, really well for me. That kind of circular logic, which comes off as just being, again, that comedic lens of kind of examining this deeper issue, which is, things are not always really all that sane. And so, someone once told me that, like, if you're in an insane asylum, acting normal is is what makes you seem insane, right? Like, you have to kind of act within your environment. And I think that's kind of what Julie is capturing here. So really nicely done, Julie. What did you think, Pam?
I thought, and great comment there, John. I thought this was wonderful. First of all, there was a couple of cultural references that I really liked, like the
yeah.
reference to cuckoo to Cocoa Puffs.
Yep.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, a little cuckoo in my Cocoa Puffs. I like that. I also like at the end line, the nod to the Lady Gaga song, Born That Way. And you want to be nuts like me, but you can't. You got to be born that way. So there's a couple of really great references. I did think the dark humor of this poem did connect really well with Nikolai Gogol's writing. Julie wrote to the quote, however foolish be a madman's words, they may yet prove sufficient to sow doubt in the minds of saner individuals. And isn't that the truth, even nowadays? Geez. I really like the philosophical line of perhaps normalcy is simply the control of one's own madness. The idea that we're all a little bit insane, but some of us just know how to keep it under wraps a little bit better. And I also really like, I spew inane things because this life is inane and wacky recognizes wacky. I feel like that speaks on the idea that, hey, you're not all seeing the truth of life, that life isn't just this straight, narrow path. It's this idea that sometimes it just goes in unexpected directions. And I also really like how this does speak on the idea that too oftentimes people do act what they call so-called normal because they feel like this social pressure. They can't be true to themselves. And I think that's where the real bite comes in those end lines. And you want to be nuts like me. It's not just about being mad, crazy, nuts, whatever the word you want to use. It's about saying, hey, I am free in my mind to be who I want to be. And if that looks insane to the rest of you, that's your problem and not mine. So just absolutely an amazing write by Julie and very well done.
Actually, the first line and then the entire poem actually reminds me of, the opening track on Dark Side of the Moon. The song is called, I think, Speak to Me or something. There's a little bit of, kind of an introduction, like, I've always been mad. I know I've been mad, like the most of us have. Very hard to explain why you're mad, even if you're not mad. The whole poem kind of reminds me of that, but the first line kind of reminds me of just that, the opening words of that. I've been a bit mad.
Right. Yeah, there you go. I like that. I like that connection. Well,
all right.
Up next, we have Measure Family Love by John Poem. And go ahead, please, and give that a read for us.
All right. This is Measure Family Love by John Poem. How do we measure family love on our 6th-generation family farm? The shepherd's cup runneth over, his flock feels safe and warm. Granddaddy Dan cooks 2 types of bacon, a whole pound when kids get home from school. Megan wants hers chewy and under bacon, while Kyle says crispy rules. Grandma Myra's hands sew fine clothes, patterned with care and loving palms. Her touch is a hem where love grows, each stitch a prayer, each seam a psalm. Every winnowed word is like a sacred seed, sown by hearts at a family meal. Careful not to plant a weed that could foul the loving field. Our family is a spring house, cool and shaded, keeping the milk sweet, nothing goes to spoil. All hands gather for the barn raising. Each generation sweetens the soil. End poem. Nice poem. What did you think, Pam?
I did enjoy this. It was a nice nostalgic poem, filled with some very thoughtful lines. I'm looking at I had to look up the quote because of course I never have it memorized. He wrote, "To love us dirty, for anyone will love us clean." And yeah, there was like, well, first of all, it's the nostalgia, and then there's certain parts of it that really gave me a smile, like um, the second stanza. Granddaddy Dan cooks 2 types of bacon, a whole pound when kids get home from school. Megan wants hers chewy and under bacon, while Kyle says crispy rules. And that's so true. Like, it seems like bacon. Now, I personally am a crispy bacon person. I do not understand people who like their bacon undercooked and chewy, but each to their own. I like how this speaks on the idea of a spiritual life that holds family together, and the idea of what each generation adds to it. And I feel like this is very heartfelt. And Grandma Myra's hands sew fine clothes, patterned with care and loving palms. Her touch is a hem where love grows, each stitch a prayer, each seam a psalm. This has some really nice flow to it, not a consistent rhyme pattern, it looks like, or at least it's got some kind of more like off rhyme. And but I particularly like that stanza because I have a fondness for hands in poetry, like, because they do so much. They can, without words, there can be so much that is expressed through hands that work, like the grandmother's hands here that sew the clothes, and and fold in prayer, are the hands of a grandmother who very much loves and supports her family. I thought this was just a really touching write by John poem, and nicely done.
Great comments there, Pam. I completely agree. This
Now I gotta know, are you a crispy bacon or a chewy bacon person?
Well, when you've cooked
Or
when you've cooked commercially as much as I have, you learn to you learn that both have uses, and so there are times where, for example, if you want bacon on a baked potato, it's got to be crispy, right? I mean,
oh yes,
it's just the right texture to go with the soft potato. If I'm having eggs and bacon for breakfast, yeah, I kind of prefer it chewy, because it gives a little bit of a counter texture to, say, the soft eggs and so forth. So crispy and chewy bacon each have their own uses in cooking. And so I am, there was a comedian a long time ago who said, there's two types of people: those who group people into two types of people, and those who don't. And that's always stuck with me. I don't want to be one or the other. I think you have to be able to. You have to be able
Oh,
to.
I'll definitely stick with crispy. You know,
Even
I don't care
even on
what
the
it's for. You know,
even on the
but
hamburger.
sorry, I just had to interrupt because inquiring minds want to know about bacon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Especially with all of the hundreds of millions of bacon memes on the internet. It seems like it's definitely a human cultural war that's going to rage forever. Definitely. Yeah, this poem really spoke to me deeply. Uh, I grew up, on in the country. We didn't exactly raise a barn, but we built, like um, a small barn that was, for the hogs. And we built the like the chicken housing. So we did sort of a smaller scale of a barn raising. um we definitely raised hogs, and because my parents had four boys, we definitely fought over the crispy versus the chewy bacon. And we sort of did all of this as well with sort of our an extended family, the family that lived next to us, and they had two kids, so there were 10 of us, kind of working the farm, and we slaughtered our own chickens and the whole bit, right? So the this was very nostalgic for me as well. The hands thing kind of spoke to me as well. I've The other day I was talking on StreamYard. I was like commenting about like getting manicures and pedicures, and like when you're when your whole when the way that you make a living depends upon your hands. Taking care of them, like if you live on and work a farm, your hands are really important, because everything that you're doing with your hands. And so that last stanza, I think, you were talking about the hands in it, and I think it totally points to the importance of hands in that kind of family life that's being described here. But also, was it the previous stanza, talking about sewing, stitching? Third stanza, talking about stitching. Growing up, I learned how to sew. I learned how to knit. I could patch my own clothes and the whole bit, because when you live on that in that kind of when you live that kind of life, all of those things are really important. And so, yeah, this really spoke to me on a very deep level. And it doesn't surprise me, actually, to read the about the author. He says that he worked as he's got a bachelor's degree in natural resource management and wildlife biology, and worked as a park manager of a number of state parks. And so that makes sense to me. This is somebody that really understands living on the land. So I loved this poem. Fantastic, fantastic write.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree. Great comment there. And I'd like to welcome Weaver of Dreams to the show. Welcome, Weaver.
Hi,
Glad you could
Weaver.
join us.
Hello.
Yay, Weaver's here.
Thank you. Oh, hang
Oh,
on.
hang on.
I'm hearing
I'm hearing
myself
myself
echoing back.
echoing back.
Mm,
Oh,
Oh,
can I call
can I
back
call
in
back
again?
in again?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
be back.
Back.
I don't know
I
how
don't
to
know
go.
how to go.
I think you hit that. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Down on the bottom, you should see a little box with just your name in it, and it should have a dot, dot, dot in the upper right corner. And if you click on that, it should pop up a menu and with a remove from stage option.
Oh, okay.
You might be echoing, Kate, because you do you have another device on? Like if you're listening to the show on another device while being on here, you're going to get echoing. So you're going to have to turn the other device off or down. Like, I'm turn off the video.
Okay. I was looking at something, but I thought I'd closed it.
Oh, the other thing that I did once is I was listening to it on YouTube, and then I got in the StreamYard without closing down YouTube, and so then
yes,
that from YouTube.
Yes, that's probably what it is.
Yes, I think that's what I've done. But I can't see it. So if I disappear, I will be back in a moment.
Okay. She did disappear.
All right. Well. Will we wait for well, now I'm echoing.
Oh no.
All right. So I will be right. You just go ahead and talk, John. I'll be right back.
Do you want? Oh, you should read Macros, I think, when you come back. All right. I will keep talking. So, well, I don't know what to say. This leaves me in quite a spot. Well, this next poem is by Macros, and I'll wait for Pam to come back to give it a woman's voice. But I really enjoyed this next poem, and oh, come on back, Pam, please. I guess while I'm waiting, I need to find the contest because I closed it down and now I don't have the prompts in front of me, and that's making it hard. So I will pull the contest back up. Man, Pam has done 1,381 contests. That is crazy, Pam.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I'm in that's my insanity, I tell you. But now they're not letting you, like it used to be you could have 6 contests total, like as and now the new site they're only allowing 5, which I know is only 1 less, but it's just
well,
oh my goodness gracious. I'm trying to figure this
week, right? You're running
what's that?
Lot. You're running like 5 or 6 a week.
Pretty much. Well, some of my contests I run like 2 weeks ahead of time.
Right,
so
right.
I guess technically I'm running something like 5 to 6 every couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's got to be more than that. It feels like more than that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I've done 1,381 times that took more than like 5 minutes. Like I've brushed my teeth more than that, but I mean, a contest.
I was going to say, probably throughout your lifetime, quite a few things.
Well, I mean, other than, like, I don't know, driving to work or something like that. I mean, something like running a poetry contest, which it may only take a few hours, but it's a few hours over a couple of weeks, right? I mean, the setting it up takes an hour or two, and then, the judging it takes an hour or two, and it's like 2 weeks apart. And so to do
it is.
Geez.
It definitely. It definitely is. It's fair share of work, and especially now with trying to figure out the way things work on the new site is, to me, especially frustrating. So yeah. All right. And I'd like to welcome Kate back to the show. Welcome back, Kate.
Thank you so much. No, I'm sorry. The echo's still there.
Oh no.
completely as loud as I am. So what I'll do is
You gotta find where else you have the video on, because that's gotta be what it is.
I think it must be. I'm not going to
Oh.
disrupt the show anymore.
I'm gonna go ahead and put yourself on mute for now, Kate, and when you get that figured out, let me know.
There you
Okay.
go.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I had a joke all lined up. I was gonna say, welcome back, Kate. Kate.
Oh, and I missed it. No.
You would have, but
Oh, too funny. Too funny. All right. Well, up next we have Quiet Grammar by Macris, and it goes like this. I feared my broken pieces cutting skin, fixed my silence neatly inside a grin. I learned to count my failures in the dark and built my walls from every loss I marked. I called my caution my concern for years. A haunted mind kept tripping over fears. My weakened voice confessed before you asked, and wrote each fault where present met the past. I trusted ink when memory turned to mist. The pages held what I could not insist. I bent beneath the weight I called my own, and marked the wounds as something I had sown. Yet some dates held a stranger kind of light that would not yield beneath another night. Those dates stood firm within my failing mind, with truth still waiting in the dark behind. I read the words I thought I knew by heart, and saw mistruth now woven through each part. Inked confessions naming me cruel and blind, no longer matched the life they claimed was mine. My journals marked what every voice would blame, how every hurt was handed back with shame. A hallway narrowed into borrowed walls, until my silence echoed through the halls. Inked pages knew before I'd learned to read, the quiet grammar sworn in every deed. I searched every page because it stayed the same, while every quarrel ended in my name. The journal kept its spine while mine gave way, recording what my mouth could never say. Its margins would not bargain with the blame, while every page was forced to bear my name. Your voice rehearsed itself beneath my skin until an echo answered from within. I pled your case before I knew the crime, until my mouth forgot which voice was mine. Although my words had sworn that I was wrong, their truest oath was I remained too long, acquitting all the crimes that I'd been thrown, except the life I never claimed my own. End poem.
wow. Yet another another strong write by Macris. And this was in response to prompt 3, which was how much savage coarseness is concealed in refined, cultivated manners. And I think this poem addressed that prompt really strongly. It's such a psychologically strong write. So yeah, what do I want to say about this that Macris didn't already say perfectly? I like that it captures again this common Gogol technique, or not technique, but subject of sort of a fractured identity. In this case, the metaphor being sort of like what someone writes down versus what they say. So I don't know if it's a journal, or maybe it's a poetry, book of poetry or something, probably a journal, where one identity is kind of written, and it's in stark contrast to the verbal identity in the poem. And so clearly an abusive relationship, or, you know, kind of abusive situation anyway, where the narrator is maybe forced into being outwardly one person, but then inwardly, as reflected in the writing in the journal, a very different person. And but there's also a lot of self-blame in here. So perhaps taking on the gaslighting and blame from, say, a partner or a family situation, and sort of internalizing it. What did she say? Something your voice rehearsed itself beneath my skin. So how you get the sense there of her internalizing whatever this abusive voice or collective voice is. I just this is such a great write. I love it. What did you think, Pam? You read it.
Oh, of course, as always, this is a strong poem by Macris, beautifully written with its rhyme and flow, strong imagery. I think this is a write that many people can find relatable, especially people who have been through emotionally. And verbally abusive relationships, and as you were mentioning, John, the gaslighting, which can make you start to question yourself, make you start to question, if you're viewing things right, and your own sanity, and I'm trying to, she wrote to how much savage coarseness is concealed in refined, cultivated manners. Oh, and isn't that so true? That is so true. Oftentimes, the people who are the most abusive to their significant others, or often in any form, it seems like they're able to hide it, to put on that front, that show. And I like how this takes a look at, like, looking at your own diary. And diaries are interesting things because if you are in a relationship, or you're with people who are distorting the truth, and you see that, instead of as a distortion, you see it as the full truth, and you write it down, but then you look back later. I mean, and it's interesting. But even in, well, the interesting thing, like, I think about the diaries that I wrote as a teenager, which I wish I still had, just to look back and go, oh my goodness gracious, teenage Pam. But it's I think to be able to look back at your own words and see more clearly what the truth really was, and that you weren't the one to blame, that you were the victim in this case. And that I think that can be a very important part of healing. I actually like journal keeping. Writing of any form, whether it's poetry or keeping a journal, is honestly so often such an important part of the healing process. And I really liked these lines. Inked pages knew before I'd learned to read, the quiet grammar sworn in every deed. I searched every page because it stayed the same, while every quarrel ended in my name. The journal kept its spine while mine gave way, recording what my mouth could never say. Its margins would not bargain with the blame, while every page was forced to bear my name. Just absolutely brilliant lines, and very well done.
Yeah, great comments there, Pam. Weaver, do we have you back?
I'm here. I'm still echoing. I can't actually switch my headphones off because it's nearly 4 o'clock in the morning here,
Yeah, I
and
was gonna
everybody
say.
else is asleep. So what I'll do is I'll just go on. I'm going to go off and listen. But I won't join in.
All right.
All right. Thank you for trying, Kate. And
No,
thank you for listening.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I can't do it. But it's so weird. Okay. Bye, people.
We'll miss you, Kate, but next time.
Next time. Thank you.
All right. Well, Pam, what do we have up next?
Well, up next. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I guess while we wait, I was recently looking through a very long email exchange with someone, a past girlfriend, and thinking about writing a poem about a piece of it anyway. And I came across, in addition to this long set of emails, I also came across just a few journal entries, let's say. I think they were sort of the beginning, trying to be the beginnings of a poem. And I was reflecting on how differently I wrote myself in the email exchange from sort of the way that I was feeling about some of the email exchange.
I'm back.
In my own.
Well, at least for me, the echoing goes away once I hang up and come back. So
yeah,
that is good.
All right.
All right.
To be honest, I did the echo was just well, I wasn't hearing any echo. So it was I think Weaver was just hearing the echo herself. I don't know if you heard it, Pam, but I didn't hear any echo.
Well, I heard Kate echoing.
Oh, okay.
And I heard myself echoing.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well.
Yes.
It must be StreamYard gremlins. So
it's got to be one of those. I don't know. Usually, if there's problems like that, it's because somebody's listening to the show at the same time as they're in.
Yeah.
Like on the studio, in
right.
In the. What do we call this? On stage, yes.
On stage.
Or it could be that they're using headphones, and StreamYard doesn't really go well with headphones.
Yeah.
But and sometimes just stuff like that happens. All right. Getting back to where I need to be. And and Robbie also says that he heard Weaver's echo. So at least I wasn't the only one. So.
Okay.
All right. So up next, we have A Mirror by Weaver of Dreams. And she was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So I'll go grab that and play it.
I stepped back to admire the beautiful rock-gilded mirror. It looked perfect hanging on the wall. It was a family piece. I had lusted after it for years. When I told my mother I had decorated my flat to complement the mirror, she gave it to me. I looked again at the period piece. Then I saw something peculiar was happening. The mirror clouded over. Within seconds, I felt total panic coming out of nowhere. What mattered now was to see past the mist, because I knew someone or something was in that mirror. I felt the urgency to communicate. I took a step forward. My hand reached out toward the silvered surface. Suddenly, the mantel clock began to chime. I became aware it was 7 o'clock. I was going out, and I hadn't decided yet what I was going to wear. As quickly as the panic attack had started, it stopped. Afraid of what I might see, I glanced at the wall behind me. The glass was once more crystal clear. How I managed to dismiss what I saw is a total mystery to me. I must have thought if I acted as if it didn't happen, then it didn't happen. So, just like that, in 10 minutes, I was changed and on my way. I got back late. As I walked into the lounge, the moonlight lit up the room. There was a girl's figure in the mirror, looking at me with a terrified expression, her mouth open in a silent scream. She looked like me, but she was dressed as a flapper. She pointed behind me. I saw her mouth form the word run. I was propelled out of the room by a force I could not fight, into the street. I ran across the road to a neighbour's house. I hammered on her door. I must have looked deranged. Luckily, she let me use her phone. The police told me he had still been in the flat, hiding and waiting for my return. He had attacked and murdered 6 times in 6 months. I was to be his 7th victim. Since that night, the mirror had been empty. That's all right, though, as I can feel her presence. She wraps her love around me, as if it were a soft tartan throw. I feel safe, as I know my grandmother watches over me still.
Nice, nice poem there, Weaver. Really enjoyed that. What did you think, Pam?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta say, StreamYard is really glitching. Like I have writing that's just completely disappearing. I have audios that aren't labeled. I have in private chat. I mean, basically anything that's written down or supposed to be labeled and written down, I can't see right now. Like there's just no words.
Wow.
But I meant not for the poems. Oh, there we go. Some of it's back. Some of it's coming back. The poems I can see because that's on All Poetry. But yeah, I thought, as always, Kate has such a wonderful reading voice. So thank you to her so much for making a recording. I thought this was a wonderful storytelling right. I like that she brings us back to the 1920s flapper. Let's see here. I'm curious. I like to check to see what quotes people wrote to. Okay. She wrote to, "This world is full of the most outrageous nonsense. Sometimes things happen which you would hardly think possible." I thought this was a wonderful write on that spoke to me in story style of self-examination. And I really, I don't know, mirrors are interesting because it can often skew our perspective of ourself. And yet at the same time, it's basically just showing us exactly like what we are. I always think of the poem, "The Mirror" by Sylvia Plath, where it's written in the voice of the mirror. And whenever I think of mirrors connected with poetry, that's the first one that comes to my mind. I don't know, there's something about this one that kind of actually has a Twilight Zone feel to it. like the mirror is a idea of being drawn back into a different time. This is definitely a great dark storytelling.
Mm.
And I like how it speaks on that idea of being protected by the spirit of the grandmother. Um, and because yeah, that ending was really great. I mean, I think what really fit well with this, to me, with Gogol's writing, is that he often wrote about the dark and the bizarre. And so I think this is a story right in that realm of the dark and the bizarre. So very well done by Kate.
Mm. Yeah, nice comments there, Pam. Uh, I really connected with this poem as well, especially the some of the imagery and but also the grandmother, um, as sort of I think in this the grandmother is sort of um, uh, plays sort of a warning kind of a role, but also kind of the protective or nurturing uh, role as well. Um, the reference to flapper girls, I think Weaver and I are not too often in age because that's something that I knew the term growing up. Um, and one of the reasons I knew it was that someone in my family sort of wondered aloud if my mother's mother had been a flapper girl. Um, my grandmother was at the time, well, in the 30s, was a fairly well-known actress in Hollywood, but one of her earliest roles was in a movie called Untamed with Joan Crawford and Robert Montgomery, and I think in the movie credits, she wasn't credited, but in the movie, the actual role that she played was called Party Girl, and it was, I don't remember, 1929 or 19, it was around it was late 20s. Yeah, maybe 1929. Um and my grandmother didn't have a bob, but she had short hair. She dressed very well, so very fashionably. And she was in Hollywood, and I don't know, maybe she was a bit of a party girl in real life. I don't think so. I think she was fairly serious. But it was Hollywood. I'm sure she went to a lot of parties and so forth. I kind of always have wondered whether people might have behind her back referred to her as, in that way, as a flapper girl. But she played a big part in my life, and when I was well, when my brothers and I and my cousins were young, we traveled with that pair of grandparents extensively, and so she was a huge part of my life growing up, and played, I think, a similar kind of a role to what Weaver is writing about here. So, but she also, had this big mirror in her dressing room. My grandparents had this mansion, and my grandmother's dressing room is bigger than like my bedroom, but she had this big Hollywood style mirror in her dressing room, and so that image really connected with me as well. So I really love this piece, Kate. This is really nostalgic for me, as well as I think a nice response to the Gogol contest, and really fun to read too. So thank you so much for this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree. I have to agree. Great comment there. Um, I'm debating. I really think with all that echoing that people were hearing, I'm not sure. Do you think we should not comment on it again, but do you think maybe perhaps I should read Weaver's poem?
So were people getting an echo on the SoundCloud too?
I could not hear the echoing, but people who were listening could hear it.
I don't know. I think during if I'm not reading, I think I'm going to mute myself just in case. I don't know. If I didn't hear any echo in the SoundCloud, but I haven't been hearing any echo at all either. Anyway, so I'm probably the wrong one to ask. But if people were hearing an echo in the SoundCloud, then yeah, maybe it's worth reading it.
Yeah, I will go ahead and do that only because I want the poem to be heard. And then if we'll either for this, we'll just hopefully we won't have this happen with any more audios. But if it does, we'll just go ahead and either read them or carry them forward. All right. A Mirror by Weaver of Dreams. I stepped back to admire the beautiful Baroque gilded mirror. It looked perfect hanging on the wall. It was a family piece. I had lusted after it for years. When I told my mother I had decorated my flat to complement the mirror, she gave it to me. I looked again at the period piece. Then I saw something peculiar was happening. The mirror clouded over. Within seconds, I felt total panic coming out of nowhere. What mattered now was to see past the mist because I knew someone or something was in that mirror. I felt the urgency to communicate. I took a step forward. My hand reached out towards the silvered surface. Suddenly, the mantel clock began to chime. I became aware that it was 7 o'clock. I was going out and hadn't decided yet what I was going to wear. As quickly as the panic attack had started, it stopped. Afraid of what I might see, I glanced at the wall behind me. The glass was once more crystal clear. How I managed to dismiss what I saw is a total mystery to me. I must have thought if I acted as if it didn't happen, then it didn't happen. So just like that, in 10 minutes, I was changed and on my way. I got back late. As I walked into the lounge, the moonlight lit up the room. There was a girl's figure in the mirror looking at me with a terrified expression, her mouth open in a silent scream. She looked like me, but she was dressed as a flapper. She pointed behind me. I saw her mouth form the word run. I was propelled out of the room by a force I could not fight. Into the street, I ran across the road to a neighbor's house. I hammered on her door. I must have looked deranged. Luckily, she let me use her phone. The police told me he had still been in the flat, hiding and waiting for my return. He had attacked and murdered 6 times in 6 months. I was to be his 7th victim. Since that night, the mirror has been empty. That's all right, though, as I can feel her presence. She wraps her love around me as if I were a soft tartan throw. I feel safe as I know my grandmother watches over me still. End poem. All right, so with that being read, I feel much better, and I'm going to put up the next poem, which also has a recording, and fingers crossed that it works. And
should we take some bets?
Shall we take some bets? Yeah. Oh my gosh! Right? Yeah. What should we bet? Like points? Are we allowed to bet with points?
Kevin probably has a no wagering rule, but you know.
Yeah, if we wager with points, they're going to charge us 20%.
There you go.
All right. So up next, we have Pondering on the Words of a Madman by Phil the Poet. And he was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So let me go ahead and go get that. Oh, shoot. I think I forgot to add that one. How did I do that? Oh, well. All right. Sorry, Phil. We're going to have to carry yours forward. I don't know how, but I forgot to add it. So, all right.
Are you sure that there's a SoundCloud? I don't see a SoundCloud.
No, he did not a SoundCloud. He did a YouTube recording. But I think let me check something. I think I might have forgotten to add it to the
I see.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
YouTube,
right. Right. Hold on. Well, I'm going to actually put up one for you to read and comment on.
Okay.
And then
absolutely.
And then I'll be right back because I got to check some stuff.
You want me to go ahead with is it the red tin?
The what?
Do you want me to read the next poem while you sort that out?
Yeah, read and comment on the next poem by Ken Smith.
Did you post the link or do you want me to?
I will.
Okay.
And all right, so getting back to where I need to be. All right. And we have The Red Tin Insulated Coffee Mug by Ken Smith. And go ahead.
All right. The Red Tin Insulated Coffee Mug by Ken Smith. And its lid sealed tight with the rubber gasket. No leaks, no loss of heat. I'd grown tired of letting my coffee go cold while I wrote each morning poem. But nothing comes easy. The Amazon driver buzzed my cell phone while I was in the can. Took 2 days and many expletives before the knock on the door, my crumpled brown paper package. On the carpet, I fondled like a newborn and almost wept. End poem. Nice right there, Ken. So I like this was in response to quote or prompt 5, I shall my bitter laugh. So there's a certain amount of bitterness here, I think. I'd grown tired of letting my coffee go cold. I think has a little bit of bitterness in it. But there's also I get a real sense of like a lack of control, especially like anybody that's ever had to wait for an Amazon driver or delivery kind of knows what this experience is like. I was once watching you can watch the Amazon delivery truck now on a map. When it gets to be like 8 or 10 deliveries away, you can watch it driving around and delivering packages in your neighborhood. And once the driver was literally just around the corner, maybe like 5 houses away. And so I went upstairs and I went outside and I sat on the porch and waited for like 20 minutes. I guess I wasn't the next stop, but I remember just thinking, what is going on here? And like, you have no control. All you can do is like watch the truck driving around, and you just feel so helpless. So I got that. I totally got that sense of helplessness and lack of control here in the poem. I actually I'm not exactly sure what Gogol meant with the prompt, but if it really is that sense of a lack of control, then this poem really nails that. I also like the opening. I lost my page. I also liked just the opening stanza with you get the sense of, with the lid sealed tight with the rubber gasket, no leaks, no loss of heat. So you get the sense of heat and pressure from the very beginning. And so it's a nice way to kind of start the poem off in like a pressure cooker that's sealed and maybe getting close to critical. So nice work there, Ken. And Pam, are you back? Oh no, Pam is not back yet. Oh no. Weaver says, yeah, I watched them moving around too, edging ever closer. It can be so frustrating and annoying. I live in a pretty remote area. I don't exactly have a lot of streets around me. So when I see the driver close by, I think, oh, I got to be the next one. But sometimes they just go off on these crazy side excursions. And so even though this one time they were literally probably 200 yards from me, and then they went way around, like all throughout this neighborhood that's kind of not exactly nearby, before kind of looping back and coming to me. And I can't figure out why. It's not like they could have had a lot more deliveries like on the street that I live on. So anyway, Pam, you're back?
I am back. Yes.
All right.
Yes. And
To hear the poem?
what's that?
Did you get a chance to hear the poem while you were?
Well, I did not get a chance to hear it because I had to be away. But I did read.
Uh-oh.
Have a favorite coffee cup that we use. I'm a big fan of insulated cups with lids, especially near electronic devices, especially the lid. Being a particularly clumsy person, he wrote to quote 5, which was, I shall laugh my bitter laugh. And I think I like how this speaks on morning routine, and how it becomes so important to us, and how it can really make us feel like our day has gotten off to a bad start if the morning routine doesn't quite go as planned. That's at least part of what I get out of it. I like the acknowledgement that nothing comes easy, but nothing comes easy. The Amazon driver buzzed my cell phone while I was in the can. But there's also a humor and an irony to that, because what we consider, like, if you think about the time period and the place that Gogol lived in, and the struggles that especially the poor class of people were going through, our struggles in comparison almost seem foolishness. Getting caught on the toilet by the Amazon driver, and that's or who knows who else. And I like the raw honesty of this. It took 2 days and many explicitives before the knock on the door. My crumbled brown paper package on the carpet, I fondled like a newborn and almost wept. It's amazing the little things that will make us happy. Whether it's getting that package we were finally waiting for, or a favorite coffee cup. So excellent write by Ken Smith, and very well done.
That reminds me, many years ago now, probably like 20 years ago, I think maybe not long after my dad passed away. So my mom was going on one of her trips, and she signed up to volunteer with a group that was taking written oral histories of people from all over the world. And so while she was in Russia, she went and stayed with this. I think the woman was actually born when Gogol was still alive. So she was probably 100 and something years old. And my mom went and stayed with her in a really remote area in Russia. I mean, kind of a like 4-wall house, no running water, an outhouse, a separate like outhouse. And my mom stayed there for a few days and somehow took a written oral history of this 100-something-year-old Russian woman. And I remember my mom anyway describing, sort of the living conditions of this woman, which must have been extremely hard, especially in the winter. And yet, this woman was, like 100-something and living all by herself in this remote area of Russia and getting along just fine. Yeah, that the sense of waiting for the Amazon delivery person, that's totally a first world problem, right?
It really is. It's so true. So true, which is part of what I think makes it so relatable, because many of us first world people have been there with those problems,
Yeah.
and then we read or see something that puts it into perspective. And so absolutely. All right. Well, I was able to get Phil's audio loaded. So we have Pondering on the Words of a Madman by Phil the Poet. And here we go.
This is a poem by Phil the Poet called Pondering on the Words of a Madman. Why ponder on the words of a madman who talks to himself about his devious plan, mentions about dead souls and people's noses, dark-set eyes appearing from a bouquet of roses, writing creations in a little leather-bound book, which he pulls out of his pocket to take a look. Runs his eyes over the symbols once or twice, falls back in disbelief at the nonsensical price.
All right, we're still getting echoing, so I'm just going to have you go ahead and give that a read. Just skip over the Russian parts.
You want me to read it? I can't read Russian, but
yeah, that's why I said skip over the Russian.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, Pondering on the Words of a Madman by Phil the Poet. Why ponder on the words of a madman who talks to himself about his devious plan? Mentions about dead souls in people's noses, dark-set eyes appearing from a bouquet of roses. Writing equations in a little leather-bound book, which he pulls out of his pocket to take a look, runs his eyes over the symbols once or twice, falls back in disbelief at the nonsensical price. Something, 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 something. He stands to attention as he begins to brag. Some more Russian words I can't read as he begins to hop around like a kangaroo.
Здравствуйте. Я русский. Flag. He stands.
Sorry.
That's right. Then a whole stanza in Russian. And then, what do these words mean? Do they make sense? Why are the madman's words such an offense? There's a thin line between genius and madness that always seems to end up in great sadness. End poem.
Great read there, John. Though you probably could have skipped over any comment about the Russian, but still, great read there.
But I think the Russian is intentional, and it's kind of part of the sort of the gibberish.
Oh, yeah, but the Russian is translated into the English. You know, like the first line is, he stands to attention as he begins to brag. And yeah,
I didn't see the author's note down below, so
yes, but
hello, I'm the Russian flag. What is this? I am the golden rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo. I lived, I loved, but now I'm alone. Do you know who I am? I'm an apple pie. I write poems in blood. Farewell, friend. Who am I? I am the eternal circle. So, sorry, I didn't see the author's note until just now.
No problem. But yeah, he was inspired by prompt 4, and he says in his AN, I tried to do it in the style of one of Gogol's stories called A Diary of a Madman, which starts off sane but becomes unhinged at the end. And I have no doubt, because, you know, Phil has such a great reading voice, that this is an amazing recording, but we're having glitches tonight with the recordings. And so actually what I'm going to do is all the other recordings that we have are going to be carried forward. I think we have a couple more. They will be carried forward, and hopefully by the time we have them on another show, you know, these glitches will be taken care of. So, and thank you, by the way, John, for reading that. This is an amazing write by Phil the poet. I do like the addition to Russian. I do wish it is a language that I could read. It's got such an interesting caricature. But I like the way he writes on, like, the idea of the coming undone, and yeah, I like that transition, and it fits really well with the surrealism and the darkness of Gogol's writing, and you know, I especially when it says he stands to attention as begins to brag as he begins to hop around like a kangaroo. Oh my goodness gracious, that image just makes me chuckle. It really does. It's just really has that. This poem has that Gogol style nonsense and darkness and surrealism that connects very well with the prompt. I also like how it becomes that idea, the end line. Like, there's strong lines throughout, but it's also the end line that speaks to me. There's a thin line between genius and madness, and isn't that so true? And I know that's another quote from someone, but I can't remember who. Oh, Oscar Wilde, I believe. I believe that's an Oscar Wilde quote, if I remember right. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. That always seems to end up in great sadness. It is interesting how struggles with mental health, like, and depression seem so connected with the creative mind. I think this is absolutely an amazing write and very well done. And just because I really would like to hear this read in Phil's voice, I do think we'll carry this one forward too, just so that we can play the audio on a show, because that's what I would like to do. But absolutely an amazing write and very well done.
Yeah, so I think the quote that you're thinking of is Oscar Wilde's quote about there's like a fine line between genius and insanity. I have erased that line.
Yes, I'm sure other people have quoted that as well, but that was the one I was thinking of.
Oh, well, so I always like me a math poem or a poem that has some mathematics in it, and Phil in the second stanza, writing equations in a little leather-bound book, which he pulls out of his pocket to take a look, runs his eyes over the symbols once or twice, falls back in disbelief at the nonsensical price. That one, talking about the line between genius and insanity, if you stick around, mathematics long enough, you will see many examples of people who you're not sure if they're one or the other, or maybe quite a bit of both. So that second stanza reminded me of one day my girlfriend many years ago and I were like driving down the street in Davis, and there's a guy walking down the sidewalk waving his hands animatedly as he talks to himself, and he's like laughing, and anyway, my partner said, "Oh my gosh, like look at that crazy guy." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I think he's only half crazy. That's so and so, one of my math professors." I won't mention any names. But yeah, that second stanza I think captures that really well. There's also, mathematics is also about logic, and so that whole second stanza might also be pointing toward sort of the idea of the logical versus illogical, the nonsensical, that this person, the narrator is like not making any sense. And so I think maybe the logic of mathematics there is kind of being maybe laughed at a little bit. So I thought it was really fun. I wish I could read Russian, but we should hear it next week, next time.
I think so. I think so. I agree with that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
all right.
So I'm going to put up the next poem, and all right. Up next, we have Coarseness of Manners by Aphasiana. So often manners mean masks. How are you? Empty asks. Pleasantries actually prying. Lofty language obscuring, lying. Scathing insults showcased as snobbery. Bless your heart. Condescending mockery. Cruel competition creates cliques of tormentors. Candy-coated outsides with rotten centers. End poem.
Nice read there, Pam. And I guess the quote, the prompt was the quote in the image: "How much savage coarseness is concealed in refined, cultivated manners." I think, well, I certainly saw a lot of that growing up. I'm old enough to remember when racism was only thinly veiled among the upper social class that I partially grew up around, and so I think the masks here that Fazy referring to in that first paragraph is something I saw quite a bit early in my early life, I guess. But I think this is speaking more widely than racism. I think it's, you know, classism and all of the other ways that perhaps the that people often put on masks of pleasantries to conceal their contempt for. So and I like that the last couplet. I like the alliteration with the cruel competition creates cliques of tormentors, candy-coated outsides with rotten centers. So I think this is a bit of a brevity, but short and sweet, and nails the prompt really, really well. What'd you think, Pam?
Absolutely. When it comes to writing brevity, I think Aphasiana has a really a great talent for it. You know, I like her wordplay. I like her use of alliteration with cruel competition creates cliques. I thought that was great. Yeah. And isn't it so true that you know, you get that I like that she fits in that bless your heart, you know, that condescending mockery of being nice. And lofty language obscuring lying. There's some other nice use of alliteration. Plus, it's really true. Like, so oftentimes, people who use some of the most genteel and polite language are hiding beneath that. Are hiding beneath that a heart that just it's cruel. It doesn't care. It doesn't really want to know how people feel. Honest to goodness, some of the best hearted people I've ever met are known to cuss. You know, they've got that harsher mannerism, you know, that you just wouldn't think they'd be the nicest people, but they truly are. It's amazing what people can hide underneath those metaphorical masks. So excellent write, and very well done by Aphasiana.
If you ever participate in a writing workshop, you'll also see the writing workshop version of that, where, you know, the compliments that are actually just barely hiding insults, you know, like, oh, it was so brave of you to leave that stanza in, things like that.
Oh yes, those underhanded compliments.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, I I have heard more than my fair share of those. That is for sure.
But we definitely don't ever do that ever here on AP.
No,
all of our compliments are always very genuine. Nice.
Absolutely. Yes. We try at least our best to be, you know, maybe we all have different thoughts and opinions, but, you know, we are genuine in what we offer. And that's one of the things I really, really appreciate about that.
Yeah.
About this group.
We're here to lift our poets up, not drag them down.
So. Absolutely. All right.
Next.
All right. Well, up next, we have, grabbing the next one.
And I am not going to read this in my Aussie accent.
You're not going to use your Kabla accent?
No.
Okay. I guess he'll just have to settle for his the West Coast or East Coast United States accent or whatever it is that you have, John.
Yeah, mine's a
And
Northern California accent. So
yeah, so West Coast. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I
yeah.
was thinking. Okay, so we have Bit of a Laugh by Monty G. Point 25.
All right.
And go ahead, please.
Bit of a Laugh by Monty G25. I like to have a bitter laugh, or maybe a bitter chuckle. I laugh like a bitter giraffe. I'm a bitter nerdy knuckle. Nobody makes a bitter laugh at me. I'd like to see them have a bitter try. Come on, I'm here. Let's have a bitter see. That's no laugh, more like a bitter cry. A little bit funny and a bitter fool. That's me. I'm a bitter strange one. Come on, have a bitter laugh, you tool. I'll rearrange your face like a bitter bun. Now you think I'm a bitter mug. Is it because I had a bitter shot? It's okay. I think you're a bitter thug, or maybe even a bitter slimy snot. I'll just wait here for a bitter while until I'm ready to give you a bitter thump. Then we'll see who's gonna have a bitter cry as I give you a bitter kick in the rump. I think you've had a bitter fright. Didn't believe I would put up a bitter fight. And there's no more having a bitter laugh. Certainly not because I look like a bitter giraffe. End poem.
Great read there, John. I enjoyed this one. This one gave me a great big smile. I don't know. I feel like that's like that image is like the cartoon version of Monty. Like that's what I imagine Monty would look like if he was a cartoon. And
yeah.
I just wasn't sure if I was off mute. All of a sudden I wasn't. But I like the silliness in this. I like the humor and the silliness and the surrealism because it all fits it all fits very well with Gogol. One of the parts that really made me smile is the bitter giraffe. I like to have a bitter laugh or maybe a bitter chuckle. I laugh like a bitter giraffe. I'm a bitter nerdy knuckle. Love those lines. And the reason I love it is because so oftentimes, and this is just my personal taste, I don't like when it feels like a particular word is used just to fit the rhyme, And if this was any other style of poem and someone put in giraffe with laugh, it would feel forced. But because this is supposed to be ridiculous, it completely 100% fits. And this is just such a great take on the chosen prompt. And I really like how much fun that Monty has had with this and how he shows us how important that even in the most bitter of times, it's important to laugh. So excellent, right? And very well done.
Great comments there. This was really fun to read too. I like as I was reading it, I was trying to find signs that Monty was actually using bitter in sort of a British or Australian kind of a bitters. Bitters is like a kind of beer, and I think they're called bitters because they're kind of bitter. They're kind of sour. I think they even might put lemon or lime in them too to make them even more bitter. But really, it's I didn't see any of that. So the bitterness here is just, I think, around maybe a little bit, maybe This sounds kind of childlike. It's got kind of a childish point of view, I think. And so it reminds me of maybe kids on the school playground, maybe, where one of the kids is trying to, bully or humiliate a kid, and the kid is, at first kind of going along with it, and kind of laughing it off a little bit, but the repetition of the word bitter here sort of seems to indicate to me that this is like ongoing, and you really kind of see the narrator turn a little bit throughout the poem. So initially maybe kind of trying to laugh it off and maybe go along with it, but then at some point they've had enough, and I think the Volta is the line, I'll rearrange your face. So at some point it's like, okay, I've had enough, and now I'm going to resort to violence to make all of this this bullying or teasing or whatever stop. And I thought Monty did a really great job of writing that into the progression of the poem. I'll rearrange your face like a bitter bun. I love that line. Nice job there, Monty. Really nice job. This is fun to read. And I think it captures at least some of the Gogol kind of humorous, comedic kind of response, maybe to something that's maybe a little dark and like, as I say, bullying or tease, intense ongoing teasing or whatever. So I thought that it captured that part of Gogol really, really well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree. Great comment. All right. So the next poem I put up is Nonsense by T. Manzano. And I know you just read, but could you also read this one too, please, Jojo?
Oh, it is always a pleasure to read Tim Manzano's work. This is called Nonsense by T. Manzano. Nobody warns you it starts this quietly. A man at a table, still upright, still nodding along, napkin folded into smaller and smaller squares, under a hand that used to slam things. He signs where the tab is, doesn't read the line above it anymore. The suits do it best. They clear their throats before the lie, the way a preacher clears his, one beat, no more, and set their water glass down so soft. The sound of setting it down is the only sound in the room. Nobody looks at the ceiling or each other. Minutes get typed up as agreed. You'd hardly think it possible. He still parks in the same spot, says morning to the same names, knows without looking which drawer the good pen is in. Tuesday looks exactly like Tuesday. That's the trick of it. I've stopped flinching at the sentence before it lands. Somewhere back there, the world doesn't need to send a memo first. It just moves the second hand a little faster than the first, puts a plaque up after calling it growth. Even the sky's in on it, that orange going down over the hills, the kind you'd photograph, kind that makes the parking lot look like something worth keeping. Nobody's phone comes out for the wreckage. Everybody's phone comes out for the color. Somewhere, a mountain sheds a grain. The shape of the valley doesn't change today or tomorrow or the day the news calls it a landslide. Somewhere, a man in a good tie checks his reflection in the elevator door, finds the smile still there, still fits, and walks out mistaking it's his face. End poem. Ooh.
Great read there, Jojo. Oh, as always, this is a powerful write by T. Manzano. And I didn't even see that Tim was hanging out in StreamYard. I totally missed that. But it's good to see him. I'm glad to have him listening in. And I like how this looks at what the nonsense of the everyday. I like the nobody warns you. It starts this quietly. A man at a table, still upright, still nodding along, napkin folded into smaller and smaller squares under a hand that used to slam things. I like how that speaks on those nervous habits of trying to keep ourselves together, trying to make ourselves look like we're composed. Um, I also really like that middle line of, I don't know if it's exactly in the middle, but Tuesday looks exactly like Tuesday. That's the trick of it. And isn't that so true? Like every single day of the week has its own personality that doesn't seem to waver. There's just always like you know what Mondays and Tuesdays are going to be, you know what Fridays are going to be, and it feels like there's this sad consistency in tone. Like this really feels like being trapped in the insanity of the mundane, of going to work, doing your job, coming home, the same cycles over and over again, and putting on that show, but meanwhile, on the inside, feeling as if you are just absolutely falling apart. Just an amazing write and very well done.
Yeah. This is extremely Gogol. Is extremely Gogol-like. A lot of Gogol's writings centered around bureaucracies and institutions, and this poem, I think, I'm not actually sure what this scene is depicting. I'm not sure it depicts any specific kind of a scene. Initially, I thought maybe it was, I don't know, divorce lawyers, but it's really clearly, to me anyway, more generic than that. And so to me, it just sort of represents bureaucracy or an institution. And that was the subject of a fair bit of Gogol's writings. He would often mock the bureaucracy. And I'm thinking of, so he had a play called The Government Inspector that was kind of mocking or satirizing, like corruption and incompetence in I think it was a government bureaucracy. So I think Tim captures that really well here. But the other thing, where was it? That in the first stanza, the man at the table, still upright, still nodding along, napkin folded into smaller and smaller squares. I get the sense there of Gogol's focus often on identity, and so I think this man sitting at the table is sort of folding his identity into smaller and smaller pieces in light of this stifling or overbearing or overpowering institutional setting here, and the folding of the napkin is under a hand that used to slam things. Gives me the sense that now the violence that they're doing to this man is quiet. It's not the kind of violence that slams things. It's that quiet violence that bureaucracies exert on people. And then I really liked the ending. Toward the ending, I gotta where is it? Oh, shoot. I can't find it now. Oh, yeah. So somewhere a mountain sheds a grain, the shape of the valley doesn't change today or tomorrow or the day the news calls it a landslide. You get the sense that this is the death of 1,000 cuts. That it's just this kind of slow, bureaucratic compounding of damage and quiet violence that at some point it just you realize that despite it being this drip drip drip, it's actually this overwhelming landslide. So I thought that image there in that next to last stanza was just incredibly powerful. I think this is probably to me the strongest response to the Gogol contest, because it's just so Gogol, and it's also so subtle. I love this piece, Tim.
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree. He definitely brought that voice forward in a strong way for sure. And great show tonight, Jojo. Thank you as always for being an amazing co-host. Thank you to Phil the Poet for the suggestion and for listening on YouTube, along with thank you to our other listeners. Thank you to Yumpy and Weaver and Tim and everyone else who is listening in. Thank you to everybody who provided rights and time for the show. We truly appreciate you all. It has been just an amazing night of poetry. We will have a few carryovers, including our recordings. We have carryovers will be Phil the Poet, Eric Svensson, Peter Solway, Mermaid, Captain Kerr, and Repercussionist. Please make sure to keep an eye out on the contests and topic boards put up by Late Night Poets hosts and hostesses, because you're sure to find something to inspire. And do join myself and Intimitus Rex in less than a half hour for Echoes in the Dark. And have a good night, everyone. Have a good night, John.
You too, Pam. Good night.